Good day, everyone. Welcome to the Digital Collective. I'm your host, James Hicks from Hicks New Media. And this show, we focus on the people, platforms, and tools that are making positive strides within the technology sector. Today, my guest, no stranger to the show, Mr. Larry O'Connor, founder and CEO of OWC. Listen, OWC, Other World Computing, has been a pioneer in the technology storage and capacity space for over 3 decades. We were talking about this behind the curtains here. Larry's been doing it for longer than that, but I've known that he's been in the game for over 30 years. There's been some recent announcements that OWC has done at NAB and at a virtual conference that I was just at, the Tech Fluence Conference. We're going to talk a little bit about those products. We're going to showcase and highlight the capabilities and capacities and things of that nature. This is going to be engaging and interactive. If you got any questions, please put them in the chat. Next person you see on the screen will be Larry O'Connor. There he is, ladies and gentlemen. Larry O'Connor is in the building. The man, the myth, legend, all of those fantastic adjectives. Sir, how are you doing today?
Really good, James. Thanks for having me.
Listen, thank you for taking the time. Thank you for coming back to the Digital Collective, and appreciate this is perfect timing, right? Because again, you're just kind of off of not just a physical roadshow because you were just at NAB, but also the virtual roadshow as that Tech Fluence conference was happening. I think it was last week, and Derek was there talking about a lot of new products, new functionality, new platforms that you're working with from an OWC perspective. Before we get going, if you could tell folks who you are, right? There's going to be a lot of new folks that will be watching. I'm going to be posting this also on Amazon Live from an Amazon Live shopping perspective later on this evening. So just if you could give the OWC story and who OWC Larry is, if you don't mind.
Sure. OWC has been around now for over 34 years. Founded way back in 1988, but the mission is still very much the same, which is that a lot of people have the best experience with their technology. Part of that is getting the most performance from the equipment, the solutions, the workflows that you have, and the other part of that is seeing those workflows go as far as they can. We don't believe in planned obsolescence or design replacement cycle. We really want to see people get the most from their technology, be part of the technology solution that enables, and not something that's a hindrance or a distraction. We all have a lot to get done. We create solutions that work together, work with you, work with the workflows that you already have and the workflows you're going to have years, I say, into the future.
I love that.
And there to see everything, and I say, give you your maximum capability. You can get it done. We're not here to tell you to replace it all. We're here to give you solutions so that you can do more and better with what you've got. Because technology is not your job; it's our job. You're out there creating.
Listen, and you've been doing it for a long time. I know you started kind of Apple Mac centric, right, in that world, but we definitely got to peel the curtain back a little bit and say, you really are open to all platforms, all infrastructures, all operating systems, right? So it's not just for the Mac guys like me. It's for the PC folks as well that can take advantage of all of the capabilities and the product offerings that you have, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's really important to note the solutions that we build, they're not just a bunch of chipsets thrown in a box. There's a lot of engineering, a lot of certification, qualification, and such that goes into everything that we put out the door. Things don't just get built somewhere and shipped. Everything is managed with care, engineered and designed with care, and even throughout the manufacturing process. We put a lot, especially today with a lot of the fun joys that we deal with in the supply chain. A lot of extra effort is made to ensure that quality level is maintained on everything that goes out the door. And Mac or PC, these solutions for a very long time have been agnostic to the platform, though primarily supported on the Mac. And over the last decade, we've made great leaps to ensure that the PC side of the fence is supported as well. And that's both for people are using exclusively PC Windows or Linux-based workflows, as well as the greater numbers of people who are using both Windows and Mac together. We've got the only software solutions that allow interoperability of storage, for example, between a Mac and a PC, even software RAID. Our application support for our docs with things like Doc Ejector or Mac and PC. We understand that today it's a little bit different, a lot different than it was 15 years ago. And ultimately, we're here to support you in using what's best for you, best for the applications that you need to use, whether that's a Mac or a PC or both.
Love that. I mean, I love the fact that, again, this is coming from the top down, folks. So you're hearing it from the guy who thought of this off of the back of a napkin at a bar one night, and look at him now, almost 4 decades later, still leading the charge. Gotta love that. But I'd be remiss.
You in a bar. It was but it was definitely not in the bar.
I don't want to throw you under the bus like that. But I want to, again, not assume, and again, that's why I talked about the PC and the Mac interoperability. But I also, you brought it up, I want to talk about supply chain capabilities and functions and probably issues, because that is, again, unfortunately, the world that we're in now. And you probably have ships out there sitting in the Bay in San Diego or New Orleans or whatever. How has that now improved as we've gotten through a little bit of the world opening back up? Are you shipping products out of the OWC warehouses, out of the Amazon warehouses, out of wherever the case may be?
For what it's worth, I think we've navigated supply chain, really well over the last couple of years and continue to do so. There's certain things, though, that we just can't prevent. I mean, the length of time at sea has gone from 3.5 to 4.5 weeks, dock to dock, to sometimes 3, 4, even 5 months. A ship with a couple of our containers literally it was the one that got stuck in Baltimore Harbor, a couple months ago.
Wow.
These are the things that we can plan for. A lot of things, and we can plan for longer, transit times and processing times, and then the truck, issue. I mean, there's so many things. It's an interesting day, to say the least, with some areas.
If you had that crystal ball, right, what you'd have the lotto numbers too, right? But
that's right,
man. Let's get into it though. Let's talk. Where do you want to go, right? Because again, kind of, we were talking a little bit behind the scenes about. I'm seeing the direction, and I don't know if it's a shift or it's a pivot. I don't like the word pivot. If it's a more of an attention on content creation and that ecosystem, and the fact that, again, we're recording content and sessions in high resolution. We're no longer doing 1080 by default. We're doing 2K, we're doing 4K, and just the amount of capacity that's needed. And you not only have hardware solutions, but you also talked about or released some software solutions, right, that are video content creation specific in terms of their capabilities. Where would you like to talk about some of the new offerings that you have at OWC?
I guess I can, we really cover A to Z right now. I mean, from camera to screen, not the camera, not the screen, but certainly everything in between, with media cards, which are high performance, high capacity, and with a focus on reliability, that are an extension of our flash technology capabilities. So now going from camera to ingest, our readers, reading our cards or other cards you have, are also the fastest readers in the market. In fact, what's a little known fact, or maybe it's probably known by those using our solutions, even the SD reader that's been in our dock since our Thunderbolt 2 dock, has been the highest performing reader you can buy. So you can buy a standalone reader, or if you already have our Thunderbolt dock, the SD reader that's built into our dock, fastest reader available. The new Cfx, yes, sir. The new CF Express readers that are in our Flex 8, as well as our new Atlas FXR. Once again, the fastest Express card readers.
It's almost like I had this plan, right? I got
it. If we're going to get into media, we have to have fast readers for the media. So this is our first standalone reader. One nice thing about the reader, in addition to being extremely compact and bus powered, this will work on any machine, Mac or PC, that has either a USB-A port, a USB-C port, and with either USB or Thunderbolt. If you connect it to a USB equipped system, you're going to get USB speeds. If you connect it to a Thunderbolt system, you get full Thunderbolt speeds. So the limit is not the limit will be the card in the case of Thunderbolt. It's the machine in the case of USB. But whatever you have available, this is, you don't have to worry about if all your Thunderbolt ports are tied up and you don't have a dock available with a port, and you don't want to have to unplug something. You can plug this into a USB 3 port, or I say on that same system or on another available system, and ingest without having to worry about changing your workflow.
Okay.
We make these products so that they're foolproof and they're when you need them, where you need them. It comes with a Thunderbolt cable, of course, but on that Thunderbolt cable is our USB-C to USB-A adapter so that you can plug it into a USB device.
Cool.
So you don't even have to worry about carrying the adapter out. It's already
that's cool. Listen, man, when you got your gear bag and you're out there and we finally get out back in these streets, that's critical, right? The little things matter. This is Thunderbolt 3 or Thunderbolt 4?
This is do we have to?
I did that on purpose. I did that on purpose because I wanted to pull the Band-Aid off a little bit, because we talked about that a little bit. But again, we'd be remiss if we didn't have that conversation. So folks, this is where I want to go, right? Because folks, we talk USB, we talk USB A, C, and not really, a lot of times folks don't understand the delineation, functionality, capability, data versus power, and all that. And I said Thunderbolt 3 versus 4 just to get that reaction. So the elevator pitch in terms of why that gets under the Larry O'Connor skin.
Well, it's become a very confusing area because Thunderbolt 4 really is Thunderbolt 3, other than it's Thunderbolt 3 that has certain standards enforced. This was mainly a cleanup for issues on the host side, and not in the Apple world, but on the PC world. Now, if you're an Apple user, OS 11 and later, you get full capability and full usability of all Thunderbolt 4 peripherals. And that's just a chipset change, by the way. But everything in this Thunderbolt 4 works in your Thunderbolt 3, call them whatever you want to call them. But on your Thunderbolt 3 and your Thunderbolt Apple Silicon Max, plug and play and go. In the PC world, you don't have that because prior to Thunderbolt 4, there was a lot of different implementations of Thunderbolt being used. And they did not have all the capabilities enabled and all the capabilities required, to fully support the different chipsets and what the chipsets can do. So Apple world, Thunderbolt 3, Thunderbolt 4, in terms of using Thunderbolt devices, there's no difference for you. In the PC world, if you have a Thunderbolt 4 computer, if you have Thunderbolt 4, you can use everything. Yeah. You have Thunderbolt 3, well, you can mostly use Thunderbolt 3 peripherals, but even there's some hiccups and some challenges just because of how Thunderbolt 3 was implemented. Now, Thunderbolt 3 really wasn't widely implemented on PC. Thunderbolt 4 is extremely widely found on systems since a couple of years ago. So the odds are, if you have a PC with Thunderbolt today and you didn't add it, it's an integrated Thunderbolt 4. And Thunderbolt 4 guaranteed basically all the things that Apple made standard. I mean, the full implementation of Thunderbolt 3 since Thunderbolt 3 first emerged, Thunderbolt 4 simply requires. There's one other gray area I'm not even going to get into because it's not relevant here.
No worries. But
don't have to worry about Thunderbolt 3 versus Thunderbolt 4. And the last thing that's very important to note, there are no Thunderbolt 4 bus power devices because that's not what Goshen Ridge, which is the only Thunderbolt 4 peripheral chipset, is for. On the chipset side, Thunderbolt 4 Goshen Ridge is there to enable certain device capabilities and hubbing, where you can have additional Thunderbolt USB-C ports added to a system. If you're not adding more ports, you don't even want to use Thunderbolt 4 for a device because it actually limits the bandwidth that's available to the actual device itself to support that downstream switching. A customer came to us on our Flex 8 because Thunderbolt 4 had just been announced, and which is a couple months after we introduced our Flex 8, which is our flagship Thunderbay solution, which lets you put a PCI card in. It has Cfx Reader, it has USB ports, it has video, it has 8 bays, including 4 bays that can use U.2 SSDs and including our shuttle. It's a very powerful, flexible unit. And the customer's like, oh, geez, you just introduced this and now Thunderbolt 4 is out. So when's there going to be a Thunderbolt 4 version? And the answer, I can't say never, although that may very well be the case, but there's not going to be a Thunderbolt 4 version anytime soon, if ever, because it would literally cut the performance of that unit down by 75%. You'd be operating 1/4 as fast as you do now with that solution, because that's not what the only chipsets available for peripherals are designed to do. So
Awesome.
you don't need to worry about Thunderbolt 3 versus Thunderbolt 4.
Yeah.
Look at what you need the device to do. And the only last thing, and so you opened this can of worms.
I did it on purpose, man, and I'm going to apologize in a minute.
Pandora's box. But the last thing, the only other thing that is of real benefit with Thunderbolt 4, again, this is kind of a marketing piece as well. There were some differences between Thunderbolt 3 cables. You had active and passive. The passive ones could pass power and full USB signal. The active ones, not so much. With Thunderbolt 4, every cable that has an OWC logo on it and says Thunderbolt 4 is full speed, full power up to 100 watts, no matter what you're connecting. So if you're using it to connect your charger to your Mac, if you're using it to connect a portable drive or a desktop drive, or whether it's power delivery enabled or not, whether it's a USB-C device, and not Thunderbolt, whatever you connect that goes C to C will always work at the maximum speed that the device or the host can support. You never have to worry about the cable not working if you're connecting between two C devices. And that's a big thing, because there's so many. It's so confusing with all the USB-C to C cables out there. It's still a number one tech call, and it's usually quickly sorted, although sometimes with a little bit of debate from the customer, because it's such a high quality cable. It looks like, why can't it work?
Right.
USB-C cables don't work for Thunderbolt. USB-C cables, in a lot of cases, like the cable that comes with your MacBook Pro or MacBook Air or other PCs, even though it looks like it is a super high quality cable, not designed for data.
Yeah.
So, so when you plug it in and things don't work right, let alone Thunderbolt, even USB, why am I only getting USB 2 speed? Why is only a couple of the ports working on that USB dock? It's because the cable isn't designed for that.
Brother.
So Thunderbolt takes that away. If there's a Thunderbolt 4 cable, doesn't matter what you're connecting. C to C, 100% of data capability, 100% of power capability. Doesn't matter what's being connected. It's going to support whatever the device and or host is able to do.
You're a champion, sir. You're a gentleman. You're a scholar. Appreciate you for going down that path. And I know it was painful. But again, the last time that I really heard all of that to that extent was the last time that you were here. And that's unfortunate that, again, it's not out there in the industry really making that explanation in terms of the difference, what differences are or are not out there. And again, from a consumer technology, consumer electronics perspective, that conversation needs to continue to happen. And I wanted to push the envelope a little bit and have you, the subject matter expert, actually have that discussion. So I appreciate you for that. And I'll never do that again.
No, it's okay. It's an area of unnecessary confusion. And I think that confusion it kind of starts with how, we have a USB-C connector, and then we have USB as a protocol, USB 3, 4, all everything in between. And it's really hard to explain. That's just because of, what we're used to, because we have USB Type A. USB Type A is a port. It's not an interface. That's a physical port. It supports all sorts of different USB modes. And USB-C, having USB in the name of the port, it's too bad it could have been called Type C, or I don't care, could have called it, Vulcan C. Anything other than USB-C, because using USB-C as the name of the port, everybody thinks, okay, USB.
That's what happens when you have, and no fault to them, but marketing and PR people instead of technology people and make these naming conventions. All good. Man, I appreciate you. We've got some comments that are coming in, and this is the direction that I wanted to go, because these are real world situations here. Smackdown Outdoors, man, I appreciate you for joining and being here with us. He says, are there any portable hard drives you can just plug an SD card into and it will automatically transfer the files? He's tired of bringing his laptop everywhere.
The only product that came close to that, was the NARBox, but that's not really a portable drive. That's actually a portable edge computing device all to itself. When you're ingesting data, there's got to be some capability there, because you want checksums happening. You want to know that data has transferred correctly and matches the original source before you wipe that card and go on. So unfortunately today, outside of something like the NARBox, a computer is really the best way to ingest.
Awesome. Awesome. Let's go into, you mentioned it, and this is my favorite device. It's sitting here again, staring at me all day, every single day. And let's talk a little bit about this Mercury Pro chassis and the RAID and just the whole overall functionality, use cases that it's for. I know it's not necessarily brand spanking new, but again, this is another relevant piece that should be in, I'm gonna say, everyone's studio, everyone's kit, everyone's office, if they really want to be serious about having high performance. Here, I'm doing the pitch instead of you. Let me let you do it, man. I'm looking at the thing right now, so I know it's working. But if you could tell folks what this is.
I'm going to hear the pitch. I mean, we provide solutions. I mean, not trying to pitch anything other than in the case of this solution, which is relatively new. You're well over 2,000 megabytes a second sustained. It uses enterprise U.2 drives for the SSDs and the two drive solutions. It can also use 8 blades, which allow for different RAID modes, even higher performance and higher capacities. But this thing is super fast. It's super silent. And whether you're doing 4K, 8K, even higher end projects for editing and production, ingest obviously super fast. Transferring data off something you had in the field to bring it in to be able to do editing. Or you have a Mac that has limited internal SSD space, using this to extend your internal storage for really a fraction of the price of factory, and knowing that you can then take it to another Mac, then in the future, move it between machines, move it to your next Mac, even move it to a PC using our Mac Drive software and software, which now supports Mac and Windows interoperability. But at the heart, very cost effective, unbelievably high performance desktop SSD for pretty much every need imaginable. I mean, we're maxing the and true sustained throughput. We're maxing what Thunderbolt can do with this device, and the cost. I mean, 8 terabytes for under $1,000. I believe it's around $899 now. Is insanely affordable, especially when you look at what it costs to have that soldered inside a machine. That
Yeah.
What happens to the machine happens to the flash drive. Here you've got something external, again, can go anywhere. So it's a nice matchup, especially if you're in the field using things like our Thunderblades to do site ingest. This supports pretty much the same speed as the Thunderblade for bringing the data in, and now you've got a nice silent desktop unit to do your editing.
Love it, love it. This again, yeah, this is my go-to. This actually, and let's see, we're gonna walk through here. This and this little guy right here, the Envoy Pro, the Electron, that is in the bag and goes every single where I go. If I go to a coffee shop, if I go to a conference, this is my external storage that I use for on-the-go editing and project creation and generation, things like that. This right here, talk to us a little bit about this as well, because again, folks are always looking for a high speed, high capacity, durable. Right. When I say durable, I mean I've dropped it, unfortunately, but it still works perfectly. I know it says it's waterproof and it says it's rugged. I know it's rugged because again I've dropped it, but I haven't put water, I haven't spilled my coffee on it. But right, 240 gigs all the way up to 2 terabytes, and that small form factor. Look at all the accolades that you won as well, man. This is something right here that folks need to be thinking about as well in terms of their workflow for data capacity and data storage, right?
Absolutely. Well, it's electrifying. It's incredibly fast. I mean, it's really tiny. I mean, you can see the Apple AirPod next to it. It is waterproof, coffee proof. And on top of that, in terms of drop proof, I mean, this thing, I mean, you can toss out a car window. It's been run over.
Not going to do that. No.
The only thing that it didn't survive, they did run it over the steamroller. The drive inside ended up being just fine, but the steamroller was a little too much for the chassis itself. But running this thing over with trucks and buses and everything else, you've really got to try hard to damage it. And your data, of course, is what you put on that drive can be priceless and irreplaceable, especially when it's in that danger zone of being between the capture point and getting it to a place of duplication and ingest. So it's been built so that it can really take a beating. And again, worst case scenario, the drive inside is exceptionally well protected. So that's something. Again, we haven't had anybody destroy one of the. Again, it took a steamroller and testing to destroy one a few months ago, but outside of that, there's been no issues with the ruggedness not holding up to anything in the real world. And hey, Again, it slips into the water, out in the rain, you don't have to worry about your data.
There
And
you
this
go.
also works with everything that either is Type C or Type A. It has a nice integrated adapter, so if you do need to connect it into a Type A device, an older Mac or PC that doesn't have Type C, it's still plug and play and fully bus powered.
The thing that saved my butt when I first got this, I was uh, early on in the beta program for the Apple OS for Monterey, and it hosed my machine completely. So the fact right here that it's bootable, I was able to revert back to the preview. I forget what it's not Catalina, but whatever the prior to Monterey was.
Mixer.
This this brought me back to a working last known good state by booting the old operating system onto this drive and then using that temporarily. So again, I will continue to shout from the mountaintops how much I love and uh, support what you're doing with this Electron. So
Let's say we talk about the water it being waterproof and it being extremely rugged, but these solutions are also built to be amazingly reliable. Reliability is first and foremost. We can't control the reliability everything else in your workflow if it doesn't have OWC's name on it. But the items that we produce are truly built to last, in terms of just pure longevity and built to be extremely reliable, along with providing top speeds. We're not putting a little, hey, this is its top speed, and 2 seconds into writing to it, it drops to 100 megs a second because
it melts. Yeah.
it either melts or it's a craptastic QLC SSD in there. We use high performance drives, with good over provisioning, and ultimately with a bridge and a controller that are designed to provide maximum performance, high reliability. Actually, I mean, pretty much top reliability. And those enclosures are also built. You mentioned the case of the melting enclosure. I think we talked about that last time.
Mm-hmm.
But the enclosure is also built to properly disperse heat, so that even under extended load, that unit is not going to have a thermal event. But number one, the enclosure itself is designed for all thermals it would encounter. And number two, it also dissipates heat even in really exceptionally high temperature environments, so that the drive doesn't have to slow down because of a thermal situation.
Got it. Got it. Listen, folks, I see a ton of folks. I see 180, 100. I see over 100 folks over on Twitter watching this right now. You can't engage and you can't leave comments. Come on over to YouTube. Ask Larry O'Connor some questions. OWC CEO and founder. We're talking about their latest products, their latest updates, this storage, internal storage, external storage, and things of that nature. Gabriel, good to see you coming in. Doug, keep asking questions, man. That was good stuff. Talk to me a little bit about what you released at NAB, because again, I mean, that was a huge conference, a huge event, again, specifically for editors, content creators, video broadcasters, et cetera, et cetera. But what sticks out to you? I'm not going to ask you which of your children is do you like the best, but of what you've recently announced, what's kind of sticking out to you that you want to make sure folks are aware of from the OWC family of products?
Sure, we've continued to expand our using our flash knowledge, our flash experience into media cards, and we introduced SD cards, relatively recently. They are the fastest V90 cards you can purchase. They go up to 56 gigs today. We're about to begin shipping 512 gig, so that'll be the highest capacity in SD available from OWC. At the show, we introduced our CF Express Type B cards, again providing the highest performance possible. Two different classes of cards. One class that goes up to 640 gig, actually about to be revised to 660, and the other class of cards that goes up to 2 terabytes. All these solutions are thoroughly tested and built not just for top speed, which is absolutely what we know is necessary and then needed for demanding capture environments. I mean, you capturing 4K or even higher resolution video, these things can't drop frames. Performance is important, and we put real world performance specs and compatibilities with these solutions. The certifications that we do ensure that you can trust these devices, these media cards, to capture where we say they'll capture. And from there, of course, we have our Cfx readers, which allow the fastest possible ingest. And not just the standalone reader, but our Pro Dock, which recently came out, has a Cfx Type B reader in it, along with all the other ports and 10G Ethernet. So you're able to connect to other workstations, into a network, and in addition to bring it into your Mac fast off your card, get that data shared, pushed off to, whether it's a SAN you already have or something like the Jellyfish, which allows for collaborative editing. This plugs in, gives you the fastest connection today that's efficient for Apple, available. And I can talk about the Jellyfish as well.
Yeah.
Our entire ecosystem, we have the docks, we have the media cards, we have the solid state drives and U2s. We have an interchange system that makes it really easy to move U2 drives from like a Flex 8 to a Helios, and even into the Mercury U.2 that we were talking about earlier. But going back to the Jellyfish, we introduced the new R24 model. This is a solution. If you go from our desktops, first of all, it works for their desktop products. If you have a Flex 8, you have a Thunderblade, any of those things, for direct editing, the Jellyfish is able to is kind of a complement to, and you can push that up and down from it. And I'm trying to get to the real kick, but with the Jellyfish, you now have a solution that is not just a simple data server. It's designed to support concurrent users with high-speed video needs in a way where if you're collaborating, doing editing, doing playback, mainly editing and the processing, you can count on the solution to sustain and deliver the throughput, again, without frame drops, without glitches, and with total reliability. And it's actually great. Every time that there's somebody who attacks this system and says how you can build your own, we sell a boatload more of them, because like everything else that OWC puts out there, the hardware is pretty easy in a lot of cases.
Okay.
I guess I'll turn it around. It's not easy, but it's the easier part.
Right. Okay.
What really changes the equation is the software and the balance and the tuning of that hardware. For those that wish to be full time in IT and work on their boxes every day, there are solutions that might be a little less upfront, but really cost you in time every day. For those that need to be able to sit down, they've got a job, they've got video, they've got a team that's got to go to work, be able to plug in and not need an IT team. I mean, it's even from scratch, from starting with a brand new Jellyfish, your whole team can be up and running in less than a half an hour. And without an IT team, supporting it and connecting it, it's a continuation. Okay. It's a continuation of really everything that OWC strives to do, make technology an enabler so you can get things done and have, a dozen people plugged in, going, editing, collaborating, and taking that new daily footage, whatever it may be, and putting something out in high speed and with reliability. Things have to work, and everything that we build, we understand that, and we deliver it. And that's the other thing I think is exciting. That's always been kind of a position of OWC. We don't want to have these solutions something that only a very small percentage of people can afford, or high production companies. We build these solutions in a way so that we have economy of scale. Just a broad base of users. People use our solutions. They use solutions for backup. They can be doing 8K video production. I'm not suggesting that's necessary, but in some cases, it's a better solution and it's more cost effective than things that are built just for backup.
Do what works in your environment. Okay.
We work to see that everything we have is accessible, to the largest number of people who can benefit from this technology and these solutions. And I go back to what I said earlier, there's not planned obsolescence. There's not a planned replacement cycle. We truly build these solutions so that they can last. And the power supply actually is a huge part of that in every product that we put out there, because power supplies are what kill most drives. And when I say power supplies kill drives, they're underpowered. When you look at that little wall board that came with that cheap big box drive, it might have a nice drive mechanism inside, but that drive is at risk because of the power supply. We include everything, with a power supply that's rated beyond what the system would ever use. So that, again, if you're in the audio, and I love using this analogy, if you turn an amplifier up all the way to its maximum output, things don't sound very good.
Yeah.
You can get a bigger amplifier and turn it up to the same level, and things sound really good. Maybe you don't really want to listen to it that loud, but nonetheless, in the case of a hard drive or an external drive of any sort, you have a lot of, actually the majority of drives today come with a power supply that barely meets the requirement of what that drive needs to operate. It even uses peak power to actually spin the drive up. I mean, it's going over its rated output, for a short period of time. It's in the spec, it can do it, but you're effectively providing power that's not as clean as it otherwise would be if you were using less of the capability of that adapter. And that puts stress on the drive, it puts stress on the controller through noise. And when there's a problem with power, our power, we have brownouts or little spikes, or
Yeah.
you start, a furnace turns on, things happen that affect, even the cleanliness of the power that we have in a house or in a business operation. That puts additional strain, on the devices that are connected through a power supply that's less than, it doesn't have a buffer, I guess, to deal
Yeah,
with
yeah,
that.
yeah. I mean, down the whole, it's a domino effect, right? If you don't have clean power coming in, then you can't effectively utilize everything that's down further down the chain, right? And then we were talking about the cables as well, right? Things just start falling apart, unfortunately. Let me
But you
dive
don't have
into just. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So I just was saying, in general, I mean, we build things with that safety margin. We build
Mm,
things with a buffer. I mean, certainly we take inspiration from Apple. Apple over engineers for the most part, just about everything that they make, and it shows. And that's why you look at how long the Apples last compared to a lot of PCs. That's certainly
that's
part of
true.
the reason. So we
That's
want
true.
things to last. We build things to last. And this is a solution that, again, the amount of time this Lumifor, these Jellyfish solutions, you know, save you in a workflow process where you are collaborating with multiple people. Simultaneous 10G streams, across multiple systems. It's really crazy insane. And our entire ecosystem, A to Z, whether you're starting off small, you're independent, it's a few people working together and you're collaborating in the same room, but using direct attach and some network interface, all the way up to literally hundreds of users interconnecting through Jellyfish technology to do ingest production and live television production and play out. We've got those solutions, and again, it's pretty crazy when you look at the value that you will find in these OWC products. We undersell ourselves because we really build great things with great software, and we aren't we're not here to boast about it. I mean, we're really here to give you solutions that work for you.
Well,
And that,
I'm here to make you boast, right? Because I think more folks need to know that you've been doing this for almost 4 decades, and more folks, a lot of folks know about you and know what you do, and the name carries weight in terms of high quality and what you provide. I wanted to just touch on the Jellyfish piece, and again the collaboration aspect, because it's not a JBot, right? It's not just a bunch of disks. It's the collaboration piece is integrated. The collaboration piece is built in. You've got the icons for Final Cut, for Premiere, for LumaFusion, things of that. So you've actually got APIs and hooks that are built into the Jellyfish ecosystem. I don't want to use too many layman terms, but into the Jellyfish operating environment that allows for that collaboration. So when someone is running Final Cut or LumaFusion or Premiere and things of that nature, that collaboration happens at the software layer. That's part of the Jellyfish ecosystem, correct?
correct.
It's not just something that Final Cut knows that it's now running off of a Jellyfish environment, but there's actually something that you've created, generated, and built with Jellyfish that actually allows that collaboration piece to happen. So no one's kind of stepping on each other's toes when they're working remotely and disparately,
Correct.
right?
Yeah, the Jellyfish is highly redundant. I mean, you can lose multiple drives, which should never happen, but nonetheless,
Mm-hmm.
it's self-repairing, self-healing, and yes, the Jellyfish OS does an amazing job in terms of the management, the capability it offers to those multiple users, and in something again. I mean, the beauty of the Jellyfish is not needing a full IT team to maintain it, manage it, and get people going.
There you go. I
Once
like that.
even the first setup, less than half an hour. After that, it's pretty much plug and play and go. It even has patented self-discovery for people connecting to simplify the initial configuration.
I love that. I
For
love that. That's pretty cool, man. The hardware side, I alluded at the beginning about some new software functionality and capability coming out, and the copy that, right? Copy that public beta that you got out now for the Mac side. Just give, if you don't mind, again the understanding of what that offers and what that brings users of the platform.
Sure. Ingesting data, bringing data in, we kind of talked about a little bit earlier, looking at our box versus a standalone. Copy that on a laptop, brings data in off media cards, video. It can also be used for photography and other ingests. But the big thing is it double certifies that the data you brought in is a match to what is on the initial card. It does live checksumming while it brings the data in, and it will do it after it's copied, after it's brought the file in. It also checksums again against the original to make sure that the original didn't have a shift. I know some people have experienced where media cards get a little bit warm, and sometimes there's actually a data issue on the media card that has to be checked out. Another cool feature of Copy That is not just being able to checksum at the initial point of ingest, but whether it's a year or 2 years. And this feature has not been enabled yet, but it's built into the engine. Down the road, you're going to be able to checksum. The user will have the option to check some data that they imported, it could whatever number of years ago, and make sure that file is still intact the same, that nothing's happened to the file while it's been static on the drive.
Oh, okay.
So that's kind of there's a nice verification of that your original still matches the original state it was when you brought it in. Well, whether it's days, months, years ago, that original is intact.
Gotcha. And this is currently available. I see the try the public beta. I guess in terms of where is the state of GA, right? Availability for everyone.
The beta is open to the public, so I encourage you and everybody to enjoy it. This is a really high power application that's in an area that's, these aren't not a cheap application in general. Looking at the competition and such. But one thing to understand about our betas, when we put a beta out, it's really a production ready, a release ready version of the software. We're still making it faster. We're adding more camera compatibility, and we're taking feedback to make tweaks to the UI. But in terms of the reliability of the product, this is not a beta where you have to worry about a wheel falling off or it failing during an ingest. It's just like software. Software, when we put betas out, these are production level betas that are introducing, whether it's a new fix or a new feature. We're very careful about what gets released out there. Beta means it's been beaten up, unbelievably, and is still standing from internal QA, and we put it out for people to enjoy and give us feedback. While we continue to make improvements, we're hoping to go release with Copy That, if not the end of this month, sometime in June. But we're not in a rush for it to do so. We want people to enjoy it. We're new in this. We're not new in this space per se in terms of data management and the checksumming and everything that goes on behind the scenes, but we're new in terms of a public-facing application, with this capability. So, we hope a lot of people are enjoying it, and we'll be really, really happy when we put it out and have it as a release version for more people to take advantage of. Actually, everybody can take advantage of it today, and it's a free beta right now is a bargain in this space.
You can't beat it. Listen, and that's why I wanted to continue to talk about that and to have you explain it a little bit more. So again, I purposely set you up on that one because again, I wanted folks to not have any assumptions. I'm just killing it. I'm just Larry's not going to be happy with me when we go off camera, man. He's going to have something to say to me for sure.
I don't water off the duck's back. There's nothing so far, nothing that I can't handle here.
I love it. Listen, I want to be cognizant of your time though, sir, because I know you've got just tons of things going on. I'm sure that the phone is blowing up right there on the desk, and I'm sure Derek is just knocking on the door or whatever, trying to get you to your next session. But I wanted to just have this conversation again, have that history conversation, have that conversation about, I know it was uncomfortable, but I think it was necessary, about Thunderbolt, USB, USB-C, just again, to have that clarity come out, right? If you had a whiteboard behind you and you could have drawn it out, I would have definitely taken a screen grab of that to save that for forever. But
you can't read my handwriting and my drawing. I know what I'm drawing, but not many others might.
No worries. No worries. I wanted to also say one thing, and this is slightly off the cuff before I ask you for some closing remarks. And I want to get it right here. So let's get it right. This is, you're out there doing good things, man. You listen, you clean up pretty good there, buddy. So I wanted to give you these flowers and say congratulations on the activities and the work that you're doing. This recognition here from the Ellis Island Honor Society. Listen, just congratulations on the work that you do with them and with all the other partnerships that you have out there.
It's truly humbling, and it's incredibly inspirational. There's a lot of great people doing a lot of great things, and You know, I'm certainly going to make sure I'm earning the place among those people.
Awesome, awesome. Larry, tell folks what's going on. What I know we did a round table here, but what do you want folks to kind of focus on what OWC is bringing to the market, kind of just for their whereabouts and for their knowledge.
Yeah, again, from A to Z, portable storage, docks. We have our new Flex One U4, which is a rack version of the Flex 8. Everything you need, again, whether you're independent at home for photography, for videography, backup, general data, these things that make your workflow work better, and best of all, work with the hardware, work with the software, work with that which you've already invested in. You can find at OWC.com, at MaxSales.com, and a lot of great online resellers and brick and mortar resellers as well. We're really excited, with all the channel partners that continue to support OWC and the new ones coming aboard. So if the store that you'd like that you love to go to and you have loyalty to is not offering OWC, well, insist that they do. So that's kind of a
insist. I got a guy. We can call someone and make sure that we get some OWC some docks in the inventory at some of these places.
That's a tough one right now. The docks. I mean, they're bringing the whole line on supporting, but it's very difficult. Docks are, if we had another million docks, we'd have another million docks put out into the field. That's one of the most challenging supply chain items right now. So, but I want to be clear. I mean, we want to support who you're supporting. We love it when you come to us, but we're certainly not asking you to, unless they want to offer a product or for whatever reason it's just not in their wheelhouse. Well, then come to us. But otherwise, we're happy to. We appreciate the loyalty that people have to the folks that take care of them. We certainly work hard to earn everybody's trust and loyalty, and understand the trust and loyalty that you may have in a supplier and a specialist that's serving you well now. And we respect that, and that's important.
You're a good man. Larry O'Connor, appreciate you, sir. OWC.com, folks. I will put the links to many of the products that we talked about on today's session in the description, so you can go check it out. And again, I will also be doing an Amazon Live session specifically geared towards OWC gear. So stay tuned and check out for that. Larry, have a great day. I appreciate you taking the time, sir. Have a great weekend if I don't talk to you before then.
Hey, James, always a pleasure, and look forward to next time.
Thank you, sir.